You know, because this is what Darwin himself said. He said, after writing his Origin of Species book, where we get evolution from, he says, if it could be demonstrated that any complex organ existed which could not possibly have been formed by numerous successive slight modifications, my theory would absolutely break down. Okay, so in layman's terms, he's saying that if there's anything that is alive and you couldn't explain that it became alive by small little steps like that, his theory is kaput. And for a long time, people just like took him up on it. And they said, yep, sure, whatever, Darwin evolution. But what Darwin had, it's known as Darwin's black box. And it's actually just a single cell of every body. The single cell in your whole body, you have billions of them, but he didn't know anything about it because he couldn't zoom in far enough on the microscope to observe how detailed it is. Okay, and a single cell, all he could see was a few amino acids floating around. And he thought, well, that's pretty simple. But actually now we know that a single-celled organism is extremely complex, okay? And it's doing so many different functions. And what we have now is a man called Michael Behe proposed something called irreducible complexity. Okay, and irreducible complexity is the answer to Darwin's challenge that he put forward. Because he said if you can prove that anything exists that couldn't have come about by small changes, then my theory doesn't make sense. So if we look at a single-celled organism, okay, and I think about it, it's doing multiple different things at the same time. And if you regress from that, if you took anything away from that, it would be dead. Okay? And he's saying his theory has to be there's one function. And then slowly over millions of years, there's two functions. And then three. But you have to remember, every step along the way, it would be dead. It wouldn't be alive. Because everything has to be there in place for it to be alive and functioning. Okay? So every cell of your body is created by God. And that's why they're so extremely complex. And if you take anything away from it, it's not alive anymore. And that can't come about by Darwinian evolution. And I'm like, this is literally the refutation for evolution. I mean, you probably never heard about it because people don't want you to know about it. Like I'm saying, irreducible complexity. And yeah, it destroys Darwin's challenge. And you know, I'm going to stop calling him Darwin. I'm going to call him Darlose, okay? Because he's done. I mean, irreducible complexity, you're done, man. Pack it in. Because here's an example that this guy, Michael Behe, who came up with this, he gave an example like a mousetrap. Okay, and a mousetrap is a very, very simple thing, but there's 5 parts to a mousetrap. You have like the wooden platform at the base. You have the spring. You have the hammer, that's actually going to crush the mouse. You have the holding bar, and you have a catch. So when the mouse steps on it, it will go. There's 5 parts to it. They all have to be there, right, in the right place at the same time for it to be functioning. Okay? Now, if you took any one part away, it wouldn't be a working mousetrap anymore. It would be useless. It would be junk. All right? But he's saying, well, through evolution, you would have had the wooden platform. And then over millions of years, the spring would have just set down just there, just perfect. And then it's still not working the entire time. And then the hammer comes along, right? And then the holding bar just floats into it. And then the catch just lays itself on there. Oh, now it's working. Now, that's a very simple thing. A single-celled organism is way more complex than a mousetrap. And it cannot come about by Darwinian evolution. So, like, next time someone starts talking to you about this, you just bring up irreducible complexity. They can't explain it. It debunks Darwinism. I didn't need that to believe in the Bible, but it did help to strengthen my faith, okay? I believe in this book by faith, but if someone wants to come to me and try to make me sound stupid for believing in this book, I'll burn them with that, you know? Yeah. I'll say, explain this, buddy.